So, there is this debate on YouTube that's been going on for a while, and it's actually helped me to be distracted from all of the other retarded shit that's been going on on ReTube. Yeah, see? All the retarded shit that's been going on YouTube. The debate between Meridian Frost and D-Landing Cole, it is fucking epic, because it's not drama. These people are having a conversation, albeit an argumentative conversation, but they're exchanging back and forth, misrepresenting each other's ideas, and then critiquing those misrepresentations, and then going back and forth and having a progressive conversation, despite the fact that the other doesn't really seem to completely understand where the person they're talking to is coming from, but it is so fucking cool. It's been like watching a tennis match. I'm like streamlined right in the middle between my opinion right now. It is, and it's been like, I feel one way after watching D-Land and Cole's video, and then I feel another way after watching Meridian Frost's video, and now I'm just kind of sitting back and watching them hit the fucking tennis ball back and forth, and I've come to my own fucking conclusions about the fucking thing. Holy shit! Now, of course, I had my own conclusions and own opinions beforehand, but they have helped me progress my opinions and add on to them. Now, Meridian Frost's videos have been fairly interesting and extraordinarily, well, good and entertaining and thought-provoking. I am having a difficult time completely understanding the shifting position that he seemed to have. My interpretation might be wrong, but when he goes from stating that he's out for the complete obliteration of religion, and then turns and says, I'm talking about the three Abrahamic religions, all Abrahamic three, there's not a consistency there, and so it's created this perception that he's being kind of shifty. D-Land Cole has been just trying to express his thoughts about how maybe there's more factors than religion that perpetuate some of the world's ills, and that we need to investigate it further. Now, where I disagree with that is that there are certain attributes to persons' behaviors that are not persuaded by anything other than religion, and that's the thing. Like, you've got a number of factors: economic, geographical, overall, well-being, structure of life, that type of thing that perpetuates a lot of violence, hostilities, crimes. But then there are things that are exclusively religions, and Josh was very apt to point out, and very, very ardently, circumcision, that of genital mutilation, that is strictly religions. That belongs to religion, period. Now, albeit the Abrahamic three, but it belongs to them. It doesn't belong to any other group or interest. So yeah, I mean, just that alone, you can say that life gets a little bit better, just a little bit better without religion. More specifically, the Abrahamic three. Now, when it comes to things like Taoism and Buddhism, Confucianism, in regards to the statement that all religion needs to go, that's kind of but I'm going to keep the commentary on the realm of the Abrahamic three, because that's where Josh seems to have found his comfort. So I guess for the purposes of this, from now on, whenever I'm referring to religion, unless specified otherwise, I'll be talking about the Abrahamic three. It's kind of weird that those three would work out into a trinity, wouldn't it? Huh. Anyway, coincidences aside, that's where Josh has the strongest foothold, in my opinion, is in that of genital mutilation. Now, there are a lot of ills that are perpetuated by violence in third world regions. Regions that geographical and economic stresses factor in highly, a lot more than they do in the first and even second worlds. For instance, Christianity today in America, it's got many phases. It really does. And there are Christians who do not circumcise their kids. Yay! And I'm super stoked about that. Actually, circumcision is something that that interests me highly, because I've been circumcised. Not too happy about it. I put more of the responsibility on that of my parents than I do of the religion that they came from. However, were it not for the religious influence, it cannot be said that they would have circumcised me. Huh. Moment of silence for my foreskin. Hold on. But yeah, anyway, the world has progressed. We've got witch burnings in Africa in the 21st century, which is disheartening, but to parallel that with advancing cultures that don't have geographical or economic stress on them, I compare that to the decline, the steady decline, almost dramatic decline of witch burnings in the U.S. It's been almost about 300-400 years since we burned our last witch, except for those examples that rank on like Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of shit. The stuff that you read about in the Weekly World News or the tabloids because somebody's fucking psychotic. And that's the thing. Religion doesn't cause people to be psychotic. It just helps them to do it. Helps them be psychotic. And again, that actually put as a point on Josh's favor more than anything else. See, this thing, I'm of the opinion that religion doesn't cause problems, but people use that like a motherfucker to perpetuate them. And without mythological precepts and traditional values based off of that mythological precept, douchebags would have a harder time being the kind of douchebags that they are. Now, in D-Land and Cole's favor, I would state that they would still probably try to find a way, and given the economic stresses that some cultures have, they would probably be successful in finding ways to be douchebags. So on the whole, if I woke up tomorrow and found out that people just stopped being religious, just like stop it, an example immediately comes into my brain where I met, like, this Bible-thumping fucking Christian douchebag, and he was a prick. And so many years progressed, and he stopped believing in God. He was still a prick. Now, I can't say that he wasn't a better person, though. That's the thing. Because at that point, he stopped hating homosexuals. And here's why. Because the moment he omitted the biblical precept and pretense behind his dislike and discomfort for homosexuals, he then had to face his own homophobia and evaluate that. Face forward and assess whether or not behaviors affected him at all, and whether or not he should even give a fuck. And of course, there was a history with him too. Anyway, point being that he was a better person. He was still a prick, but he was a prick to a different group of people entirely. And I would wager to say that the people in his personal life, in his immediate surroundings that he interacted with on a regular basis, on the whole, their quality of life went up, even by a smidgen, just because he wasn't religious. So whereas, yes, I understand what D-Land and Cole is saying, and he is saying it. He's not even just trying to say it. He is saying it. There are other factors beside religion that need to be assessed in the world whole in regards to the embetterment and quality of life for all of its participants, in regards to the claim that religion would make life better. You do have to assess everything that goes into what is making the quality of life worse, less better, for everybody else. You see, the thing is, there's so much shit that people really... I'll phrase it like this. Religion is one of those last bastions of refuge that people seek when they become extraordinarily desperate. And it's kind of one of those things where you see people starving to death, and there's disease, and there's war going on. You know, really, a person is left to the foxhole mentality, where they will pick at that straw and become religious as a last stitch. And because historically, religions have offered a certain amount of economic and social strength as a foothold for these people, the moment they become religious, they convert, all of a sudden their lives, vis-a-vis their own perspective, does become a little bit better. They get a little bit more fed. Houses start to construct around their heads for shelter. Now, is that as a guise and as a false pretense? Like, for instance, the roofs and shit? Yes, it is. However, were it not for religion, those embodiments of that corruption, as it were... I'm trying to find my cigarette here. Well, I'm trying to put out my cigarette. Anyway, if it weren't for religion, you'd still have groups of corrupt fucking people offering people food and shelter in the face of adversity and power struggle. So they would probably still find some other incentive. Some other incentive to give people when they want support. I would also state that, omitting mythology, you would still have a structure not unlike that of a religious structure. Often I hear it parroted that, religion's not a problem, but dogma is. And you can find dogma anywhere. But at the same time, the dogmatic tenets that are found within the Abrahamic Three are arcane and barbaric sometimes. Disputably more barbaric than more civilized, educated forms of philosophy and schools of thought. Just an opinion. But, I mean, it's not to say that any one religious person can't be well-educated and have a good backing philosophically. They can, and that's the thing. Like, overall, I see Meridian Frost's point And even if the world and quality of life were to improve just by a hair, just even by a fraction with the omission of religion, his stance is correct. It is. The question is, how realistic is the proposition that religion go away? And this is where I would addendum, at least as we know it. See, there is a vast difference between your fundamental Christian circa 1679 and the Christian modern Christian circa 2012, American Christian. There's a vast difference, and those differences do come from a tweaking of the perception of doctrine and tenets, and we owe that to education and overall embetterment of the quality of life economically and within resource even. So I mean, it's to say that, you know, religion going anywhere, it's not an attainable goal, really, at least not within the parameters of just like, bam, religion's gone now. It's not going to happen like that. And if in 500 years' time you see the world has evolved into a quasi, not even utopian, I don't want to even use that word, but just a better culture, a more prosperous culture, I think that you would see that take place as a result of the advancement of education, technology, and our ability to accumulate resource by lowering the means to acquire that resource, energy efficiency and whatnot. Disbursement of necessity, like water. You know, the moment we get that pegged, you will see religion will have changed by that point. And will that distribution is what I meant. Will that distribution of resource take place as a result of the omission of religion, or the depletion, or the degradation of religion, or will it decrease because of that of religion? Don't know. It's really kind of hard to make a case like that, especially since, you know, from 1700 down, a lot of not all of, but a lot of what we have in regards to the progression of scientific study and fields of thought, we do actually owe the theist a great deal. William of Ockham, he's one of my favorite examples. Occam's razor, you know, the coined phrase, it gets kind of misrepresented, is that all things being considered equal, the most simple of solutions is usually the most correct. That's a misrepresentation, by the way. Look it up if you want to find out more. But that's Occam's razor, William of Ockham. He was a friar. Yeah, he was a fucking holy man. Now I'll say that he was a holy man who was not without his complaint of Mother Church, but he was a holy man nonetheless. He was devout to his Christian God, and a lot of the field of study and scientific progress is owed to that man. And so the proposition of the world becoming a better place despite religion versus with religion, it's kind of, I don't want to split hairs about that. I don't really know. Oh, I'll see you in 500 years and you can tell me all about it. That's just it. Will the world be better? Would the world be better if religion weren't a factor? I would say yes, but marginally so. Because the ambitious and the corrupt have a propensity to make their way to the top of the food chain, economic chain, or social chain. And they use religion to do that as a tool. But I still would wager that those people would still exist and still eke their way up without it. And a lot of the violence, a lot of the hostility, a lot of the douchebaggery that we see would still be present. Now, when it comes to things, like I'm saying, that are traditionally specific, like circumcision to religion, that's one of those things where life would improve for people who would later come to complain about their loss of foreskin. Another moment of silence. But yeah, so is Josh's stance valid? Yes, it is. Is it wholeheartedly demonstrable and undisputed and undisputable? By no means. And I think that Landon has made some pretty good arguments to the contrary of that. I guess my opinion is that I don't necessarily think that the impact that the omission of religion would have on the world is as substantial as Meridian Frost would suggest. However, his suggestion still holds validity and weight. So, I don't know. This is really kind of interesting. I am looking forward to more of this back and forth. You know what I really like about the whole thing? Although both sides have taken offense, personally, been offended by what the other has to say about them and their character. they have managed to progress a dialogue and exchange critical, rational thought, as opposed to just feigning butthurt and then dropping it. As opposed to saying, oh, you've offended me, you're not worth conversating with anymore. I'm going to be right over here in my corner, and you can be an offensive prick. Nah, they're talking. They're having an exchange. And holy shit, it's been a good time. I think that's all I have to say about it. Really. You guys take care now.